Chapter 1. The room I shouldn't have entered. The maintenance corridors of Kara Station always smelled faintly of ozone and brine, as if the whole place had been dredged from some alien ocean and wired together with sparking copper. Elias Varon tugged at the collar of his grease-stained jumpsuit, trying to ignore the way the deck plates thrummed beneath his boots. Somewhere in the distance, the pulse of the station's reactors beat like a giant mechanical heart. "Just reroute the conduit, Varon," he muttered under his breath. Flashlight cutting a thin cone of light across tangled bundles of luminescent cables. In, out, and back to the barracks before shift change. But the conduit map was wrong. Human eyes still had trouble with the alien glyphs etched into the walls, their flowing lines doubling back like rivers that refused to obey gravity. The scanner on his wrist chirped, then fizzled into static. He cursed softly and chose a corridor at random. The station wasn't built for humans. Its bulkheads rose too tall. Its ceilings arched with cathedral-like enormity. Shadows pooled in places where the lighting strips pulsed faintly with violet and green. Elias felt like an ant wandering a temple. He stopped at a door, carved metal, patterned with scales that shimmered faintly as though alive. The maintenance access was supposed to run past here. His scanner buzzed red, indicating the power surge was beyond the sealed hatch. "Well," he whispered, tapping the panel. "One override, and I'm out." The door hissed open with a sigh like something exhaling. Cold air spilled over him, sharp with the tang of strange incense. Elias stepped inside. The chamber glowed with a low, aquamarine light. At its center, on a dais carved of dark stone, lay a figure. She was alien, yet devastatingly familiar in form. Scaled patterns traced across pale skin that shimmered faintly with each breath. Her hair, if it could be called that, was a spill of silver threads, moving slightly in the air as though underwater. She lay unclothed, limbs arranged in a ritualistic pose, eyes closed in what seemed like sleep. Elias froze, throat dry. His first instinct was to back out and seal the door. But something about the stillness of the room held him. The walls themselves pulsed with faint runes, the air thrumming like a hymn. "She's in cryo-meditation," Elias murmured, realizing too late the words left his lips. His voice echoed off the chamber walls like a blasphemy. The figure stirred. Her eyelids opened, revealing eyes not of any color he knew. Swirling gold shot through with flecks of burning crimson. They locked onto him instantly. Elias's gut dropped. The alien woman inhaled, the gesture slow, deliberate, as if drawing his very presence into her lungs. Her lips parted, and the air in the room seemed to grow heavier. "You entered," she said, her voice layered, as though two tones spoke at once. The common tongue, yet resonant, unearthly. "And now you cannot leave." Elias staggered back, hands searching blindly for the panel behind him. The door had already sealed shut. For the first time since leaving Earth, Elias realized just how small a human could feel in the vast machinery of alien destiny. Chapter 2. The Weight of a Bond. Elias's back hit the sealed door, palms flat against the cold alloy. His breath came fast, misting in the chilled air. The alien woman rose from the dais in a slow, deliberate movement, as though gravity itself bent to her will. Up close, Elias could see the etched markings across her collarbone, sigils that faintly pulsed with light, like living circuitry embedded in flesh. She wasn't simply sleeping here. This was ritual. Her gaze held him like a predator considering prey. "You have disturbed the rite," she said. The layered timbre of her voice vibrated through the chamber walls. "By law, by tradition, by bond, you are mine." Elias swallowed hard. "Look, I was just fixing a power surge. Wrong door. Total accident." The words tumbled out clumsy, but her expression did not shift. If anything, her pupils narrowed, vertical slits shimmering with fire. The sound of boots on metal rang from the corridor. The door behind Elias cracked open as two towering guards stepped in, their armor gleaming obsidian, helmets shaped like angular beasts. Energy spears snapped alive with a crackling hiss. One barked in a guttural alien tongue. The translation implant in Elias's ear clicked alive, converting the growl into clipped common. An intruder. Kill him. Elias's stomach flipped. His hands went up fast. Wait. But before the guards advanced, the woman lifted a clawed hand. No. The single syllable stopped him mid-stride. Her voice was calm, commanding. He cannot be harmed. He has bound himself. The guards exchanged uneasy glances. One hissed something sharp. The implant lagged, but caught the meaning. A human? As her chosen? Elias's head snapped toward her. Chosen? Whoa, no. I didn't choose anything. I didn't even knock. Her eyes cut to him, silencing his protest. The right of union is older than your species. Presence at the awakening seals fate. Your words matter less than your heartbeat. Elias's pulse thundered in his ears, and he realized her hand was hovering inches from his chest, palm angled toward him. He could feel warmth radiating, tugging faintly at his racing pulse, as if something unseen tethered them together. The guards lowered their spears reluctantly, but their stares burned with disdain. One muttered, "Better he die quickly than shame the house." The woman ignored them. She drew closer, the faint perfume of alien incense clinging to her skin, sweet but sharp, like burning flowers. "What is your name, human?" "Elias," he managed. Her lips curved into something between a sneer and a smile. "Elias Varen. By law of Koresh's bloodline, you stand as my bondmate. You will be judged. You will be tested. And if you fail..." Her gaze flicked to the guards' waiting spears. "Your death will cleanse my honor." The chamber seemed to tilt around him. He'd only come to fix a conduit. Now, in the space of minutes, he was chained to a stranger, a noble, an alien whose eyes glowed like fire. Elias forced a shaky grin. The only shield he had left. Great. Just my luck. Chapter 3. Trials of Worth. The council chamber of Kara Station was a cathedral of alien power. Its walls curved upward into a dome lit by drifting orbs of molten light, their glow washing over rows of towering nobles seated in carved obsidian thrones. Elias stood at the center of the circular floor, a single human framed against 1,000 judging eyes. Whispers hissed through the chamber like wind through broken glass. A human? A mistake. A joke. Elias straightened his stained jumpsuit and forced himself not to fidget. His knees wanted to shake, but he locked them. If they see fear, they'll eat me alive. The council leader, a gaunt alien with translucent skin and veins glowing faintly blue, raised a staff. His voice carried across the dome. A section of the floor irised open, revealing a gravity shaft. Elias was yanked upward into a chamber where gravity cut out entirely. He flailed for a moment, then steadied, his breath echoing loud in the enclosed space. Across from him floated an armored warrior, easily twice his size, body bristling with spines. The alien spear gleamed with arcs of blue energy. A voice crackled in Elias's ear through the implant. Trial 1. Combat. The warrior lunged. Elias dodged clumsily, momentum spinning him out of control. The spear hissed past, scorching the air. He slammed against a wall, pain jolting through his ribs. The alien laughed, sound guttural and cruel. Elias grit his teeth. All right, not strength, not speed. Think human. He yanked the maintenance scanner from his belt, flicked it on, and hurled it. The device struck a vent panel. Sparks erupted, spraying jets of pressurized gas. The sudden propulsion shoved both combatants sideways. Elias, anticipating it, tucked and grabbed a floating chunk of debris, swinging it like a club. The alien's grin died as the makeshift weapon cracked across his faceplate, shattering one lens. The warrior reeled, drifting uncontrolled. A booming voice cut in, "Trial 1 passed." Before Elias could breathe relief, the chamber shifted. Walls rearranged into glowing geometric corridors, pathways splitting and folding back on themselves like living mazes. Heat radiated from some sections, while others were rimed with frost. Trial 2. Intellect. Elias floated forward, palms brushing warm walls, eyes flicking across glyphs that pulsed like heartbeats. The symbols reminded him of half-broken circuit boards. Patterns. It's all patterns. He traced the flows, noticing how light streamed toward dead ends. Instead of following the obvious glow, he charted the darker paths, trusting intuition. Minutes or hours later, he burst through the final archway, chest heaving. Behind him, the maze dissolved. Trial 2 passed. Exhaustion weighed on him, but the chamber shifted again. Now he stood on a rocky plain beneath a dome, projecting an alien sun. Creatures prowled the horizon, massive, scaled beasts with jaws that sparked fire. Trial 3. Endurance. Elias muttered, "Of course." As the beasts roared, dust rising around him, he clenched his fists. No weapons, no armor, just a human, small and breakable, standing against monsters bred to terrify. But he planted his boots in the dirt, heart hammering. "All right," he growled. "Let's dance." Chapter 4. The Betrayal in the Shadows. Carrot Station never truly slept. Its veins of neon light pulsed in rhythm with the reactor's heart, throwing ghostly colors across the sprawling markets and high spires. Elias limped through one of the upper walkways, ribs still sore from the trials. His jumpsuit was scorched, half torn, and his knuckles raw. Yet when he looked around, he saw alien eyes fixed on him, not with ridicule anymore, but something closer to awe. He'd survived. Against all odds, the human had passed. But victory carried a weight. The air felt different now. Thicker, colder, threaded with unseen hostility. Koresia walked beside him, her scale cloak whispering against the metallic floor. She said little, but Elias could feel her eyes on him, sharp and calculating. At last, she broke the silence. "You should not have lived," she murmured. Elias smirked, though his body ached with every step. "Guess nobody told me that." Her lips twitched, the closest thing to a smile he'd yet seen. But her gaze quickly hardened again, scanning the shadows of the corridor. "Do not mistake your trials for safety. You humiliated a powerful suitor today. He will not forgive." As if her words had summoned him, the lights above flickered. A hiss of steam rolled across the floor vents. Elias stiffened. Movement. Figures slid from the shadows, assassins clad in dark armor, their visors glowing faintly green. Blades unfolded with a metallic snarl. Koresia reacted instantly, drawing a curved weapon from her hip. But before she could move further, one of the assassins hurled a vial at her feet. It shattered in a spray of violet gas. Koresia staggered, coughing, her blade clattering to the floor. "Poison," Elias muttered, grabbing her as she buckled. The assassins closed in. His mind raced. He had no weapons, no armor, just Koresia's weight sagging against him and the iron certainty that if he dropped her now, she'd die. He snatched her fallen blade. The weapon was heavy, curved, awkward in his hands. The assassin sneered at the sight of a human wielding a noble's weapon. "Out of the way! Ape!" One hissed through the translator. Elias tightened his grip. "Sorry, not happening." They lunged. Instinct took over. Elias ducked low, blade sweeping clumsily but with desperate force. Sparks erupted as steel clashed. He shoved one assassin into a vent, smashing their visor against the grate. Another slashed across his arm. Hot pain seared him. But Elias drove forward, ramming his shoulder into the attacker's chest until they toppled over the railing. When the last assassin retreated into the shadows, Elias was shaking, drenched in sweat and blood. He dropped the blade, clutching Caressia close. Her eyes fluttered open, hazy but focused on him. "You stayed," she whispered. He let out a ragged laugh. "Yeah, well, didn't seem fair to let you do all the heavy lifting." For the first time, she reached up and touched his jaw, her fingers cool against his bruised skin. The gesture was brief, almost involuntary, but unmistakable. In the distance, alarms began to wail. Somewhere deep in the station, power lines were failing. Sabotage was spreading like fire, and Elias knew the suitor she'd warned him about wasn't finished. Chapter 5, Duel Among the Stars. The arena hung in the void like a jagged crown, a hollowed asteroid tethered to Kara's station by energy conduits that crackled blue across the darkness. Thousands of alien nobles gathered in the observation tiers carved into the asteroid's stone walls. Their voices rose in layered harmonics, echoing to the chamber like a choir of judgment. Elias stood alone on the central platform, a thin strip of alloy spanning open vacuum on either side. The artificial gravity field flickered around him, making his boots feel heavy one moment and weightless the next. Sweat beaded on his brow. His chest still ached from the assassin's blades, but adrenaline kept him upright. Across the platform, his opponent arrived. The warlord Caressia had warned him about. Lord Saravor strode forward clad in black armor etched with red glyphs. His frame was enormous, his tail lashing behind him like a whip. The spear in his hands hummed with violent energy. Gasps rippled to the audience as Caressia appeared in the high seat, reserved for nobles of her bloodline. Her face was unreadable, but Elias saw the faint tension in her jaw. The announcer's voice boomed in a dozen tongues. "Trial of honor. Duel to decide the bond." Vor's sneer cut through the silence. "You should have died in the trials. Human. Tonight, I will correct that mistake." Elias forced a grin, though his pulse hammered. "Funny, they said the same thing yesterday. And I'm still here." The gong sounded. Vor moved first, a blur of black and red. His spear cleaved through the flickering gravity field, its arc a streak of crackling light. Elias barely rolled aside in time, the weapon slamming into the alloy floor with a blast that shook the platform. Elias scrambled, grabbing at the debris scattered across the arena. Chunks of metal, fragments of broken drone casings, improvised tools. That was all he had. The warlord laughed, pressing the attack. "You think scraps will save you?" Elias hurled a shard of alloy. In normal gravity, it would have been nothing, but the field flickered at that exact instant, turning the shard into a whirling missile. It smashed into Vor's helmet, staggering him. The crowd roared, shocked. Elias pressed the moment. He triggered the wrist scanner he'd repaired days ago, overloading its power cell. He jammed it against a loose conduit on the arena wall. Sparks burst as the conduit exploded, sending a wave of electromagnetic discharge across the platform. Vor's spear sputtered, its energy coils flickering. His advantage neutralized. "You fight like vermin," Vor snarled, ripping off his cracked helmet. "Yeah," Elias panted, tightening his grip on another shard of metal. "But humans are stubborn vermin." The final clash was brutal. Vor swung with sheer force, shattering the platform beneath them. Elias ducked, drove the jagged metal shard into a seam in the warlord's armor, and shoved with every ounce of strength left in him. Vor staggered, eyes blazing with disbelief, before crashing to the floor. The arena went deathly silent. Then, one by one, the nobles began to strike their staffs against the stone. A slow, thunderous rhythm. Elias stood shaking, blood on his hands, chest heaving. He lifted his head toward Koresia. For the first time, she rose, not in scorn, but in recognition. She inclined her head, the bow of a noble to her equal. The bond was no longer a mistake. It was destiny. Chapter 6, The Human Bond. The duel was over. The asteroid arena still glowed with the scars of the fight. Sparks drifting from ruptured conduits, alloy plates cracked and smoking. Elias's body felt like it had been beaten with iron hammers. Every muscle screamed, but the silence in the chamber was louder than the pain. Koresia descended from her high seat, her cloak flowing like liquid midnight. The crowd parted for her, bowing their heads. Elias had never seen aliens of such power lower themselves before anyone. Yet now they did, because of her, because of him. She stopped before him, her golden crimson eyes searching his bruised, bloodied face. For a long moment, neither spoke. The hum of the failing grav field pulsed beneath their feet, as if the station itself held its breath. "You are impossible," Koresia finally said, her voice softened before, stripped of venom. "A human, a mechanic, and yet you toppled Saravor." Elias chuckled weakly, wiping blood from his mouth. "Guess I'm good with scrap." Her lips twitched, almost a smile. Then she extended her hand, clawed, scaled, yet trembling faintly. "By bond and law, I name you my equal. Not accident, not shame. Chosen." The chamber erupted with layered voices, shock and fury mixing with reluctant admiration. The council leader's staff struck the stone 3 times, echoing like thunder. "So it is written, so it is bound." Elias reached for her hand. Her palm was cool against his, her grip firm, electric. For the first time, the tether between them felt real, not forced, not a mistake, but alive. Later, as they walked to the neon-lit corridors of Kara Station, the chaos of the arena behind them, Elias felt the weight of stares on his back, some filled with respect, others with hatred. But beside him, Koresia walked tall, her cloak brushing his arm, no longer distancing herself. "You've tied yourself to me forever, human," she murmured as they stepped into a viewport chamber overlooking the gas giant. Its storms rolled endlessly below, a swirl of orange and violet lightning. "Do you regret it?" Elias leaned against the rail, watching the cosmic storm rage. His reflection in the glass looked small next to hers. "I should," he admitted, "but I don't." She turned to face him fully now, eyes glimmering with something new, uncertainty, hope. "You are reckless, fragile, and yet—" She reached up, brushed her fingers against his jaw again. "You endure where others break." He caught her hand gently, holding it there. "That's humanity for you. We're not the strongest, not the fastest, but we don't quit." For the first time since he'd stumbled into that forbidden chamber, Koresia smiled openly. And for the first time in the vast, indifferent sprawl of the galaxy, Elias felt like more than just a small man in the wrong place. He was human, and that meant something. The hum of the starship's engines filled the quiet, steady and alive, like a heartbeat. Beyond the viewport stretched a sea of alien constellations, jeweled against the black, vast, unknowable, yet suddenly full of possibility. Elias stood with Koresia at his side, the neon glow of distant cityscapes on the planet below painting shifting colors across their faces. For weeks the bond had felt like a chain, an accident of fate. Now, in the silence after war and trials, it felt like a lifeline. She turned to him, golden crimson eyes, soft in a way he had never seen. "You have changed everything. My people, myself, a human mechanic, defying lords and law. Do you understand what you've done?" Elias gave a tired smile, running a hand through his sweat-matted hair. "Not really. I just did what humans do. Kept going, even when it made no sense." Her hand brushed his, claws careful, deliberate. This time he didn't pull away. You are small, fragile, she whispered, and yet you made me believe in impossible things. He laced his fingers with hers, gazing out at the endless stars. Then let's keep believing. The engines deepened their thrum, carrying them into the unknown, together, and in that moment, the galaxy no longer felt indifferent. It felt human,